Welcome back to the deep dive. And just quickly, this deep dive is brought to you by Access Softech, the premier provider of digital banking solutions. Okay, so today we are really cracking open the financial future, looking at FedNow. I mean, the vision here is enormous. We're talking about potentially replacing ACH, domestic wires, bill pay, P2P, really just a complete overhaul. It's huge.
It is huge, yeah.
Yeah.
But, any transformation this big comes with risks, serious operational risks. And our mission today really is to understand the single biggest threat to FedNow's success: fraud. Specifically, we need you to grasp why the ways we handle fraud now just aren't going to cut it for instant payments. They're fundamentally too slow.
Right. Okay, let's dig into that. We've definitely heard the anxiety from institutions, credit unions especially. Their biggest fear seems to be massive fraud loss. Why is that speed difference making fraud so much scarier with FedNow?
The key word, the one you absolutely need to remember, is irrevocability. See, in the old world, the legacy systems, if a fraudulent wire went out, you might have hours, maybe even a day to try and claw it back. There was a process. With FedNow, once that transfer is done, and we're talking seconds, it's final, gone, irrevocable. That means the window you have to spot and block fraud shrinks from, say, 24 hours down to practically zero. You must stop it before the transfer is even authorized.
Okay, and this is where some of the language gets tricky, right? I keep seeing vendors talking about near real-time fraud solutions. To most people, that probably sounds fast enough, but you're saying near isn't nearly good enough, that it's like a disaster waiting to happen.
That's exactly it. Near real time often just means, well, post-mortem analysis. It sounds fancy, but it's looking backwards. It usually means the system gathers up batches of recent user activity, maybe every 15 minutes or so, runs analysis, and then flags something as suspicious. But here's the kicker. By the time that flag goes up, the user's already hit send on the FedNow transfer. It's instantaneous, so you're just finding out about the fraud after the money has already vanished. The whole approach relies on looking at old data. There's a lag baked in.
Hold on, so you're saying institutions might be pinning the success of this massive FedNow initiative on security systems that are kind of by design too slow for it. That
Yeah.
seems fundamentally flawed.
It is. It's the definition of trying to fit a square peg security model into a round hole payment system. It just doesn't work. The only solution that actually meets the challenge of irrevocability is true real-time fraud control. And when we say true real-time, we're talking about decision times down in the low double-digit milliseconds. Extremely fast. Most current systems, the batch processing ones, they simply cannot operate at that speed. Not even close.
Okay, but that sounds incredibly difficult and probably expensive. Banks already use AI for fraud, don't they? Why can't they just, speed that up? Does this mean ripping everything out and starting over?
Well, it definitely requires deep integration. True real-time systems can't just sit off to the side. They need to be woven right into the digital banking platform itself, usually through APIs. They have to perform continuous session scoring. That means analyzing potentially hundreds of behavioral signals from the very moment a user logs in and continuing that analysis throughout their entire session. It's not about looking at batches of old data. It's inline analysis of the transaction before the request even thinks about hitting the FedNow network.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical then. Let's say the AI, doing this real-time session scoring, spots something weird. Maybe the device looks wrong or the location is unusual. What actually happens then? What's the mechanism that stops the money leaving?
That's the critical safeguard. If that real-time scoring model decides the risk is too high, maybe it strongly suggests an account takeover is happening, the system acts instantly. It imposes a security challenge right then and there. It forces the user, or whoever is trying to make the transfer, to pass another authentication step, like a multi-factor challenge. The transfer simply cannot proceed. The button might even be grayed out until that session's legitimacy is validated. This guarantees you prevent that irrevocable loss before it happens. Okay, let's try and pull this together. So the main takeaway here, it seems, is that with instant payments, we have to stop thinking about fraud as something you clean up later. It's not an accounting issue anymore. It's an immediate point-of-access security challenge. Real-time transfers demand true, genuinely real-time fraud controls baked right into the digital banking experience itself. Exactly. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the future of FedNow, well, without this specific kind of security-integrated pre-authorization operating in milliseconds, financial institutions are just opening themselves up to, frankly, unacceptable levels of liability. And if that liability becomes too painful, too costly, FedNow might actually fail to get the widespread adoption everyone hopes for, especially in the consumer and business markets. Getting that deep security integration right, That's really the price of admission for the entire instant payments revolution. That's the stake we're playing for.